Hi, welcome back to another video, and it's another retro racing rewind video for you, and this time we're taking a look at one of what for me is part of the holy trinity of console racing titles, sim racing titles anyway, rather the titles that gave birth to them, and that's a trio of titles from the PlayStation 1 that includes Colin McRae Rally, the original Gran Turismo, both of which we're going to come back and look at a later point, and what we're looking at now, which is TOCA Touring Car Championship, which was the official game of the RSA British Touring Car Championship way back when. And this was one, along with the other two I've just mentioned, of the first serious titles in terms of racing on the PlayStation, ones that weren't pure arcade racing. Now, they don't stack up as sims by any stretch of the imagination, haven't done for a long time, but back in the day when these came out, these were a breath of fresh air and a step up. These were not titles that you could just step into from every other racing title that had existed and boom, you were going to be perfectly happy with them. You did have to concentrate on when you were going to brake, focus your braking in a straight line, get your braking done before you turn in, apex, and then accelerate out of the corner. Yes, it's done in a more basic manner in TOCA, but it's all there, and it was one of the first titles to do it. Also, for its time, quite groundbreaking in the fact that it had every single stage, or rather circuit, from the championship at that point. So, it did visit absolutely everywhere that you would expect it to, from Donington to Silverstone, Thruxton, Brands Hatch Indy, Alton Park Foresters, Donington Park Short, Croft, Knockhill and Snetterton. So, it had the lot in there, as well as the full range of teams from the championships. And this was back in the days of heavy manufacturer involvement in Super Tourers. So Williams Renault, the four-wheel drive A4, Volvo S40, Honda Accord, Peugeot 406, Nissan Primera, Ford Mondeo and Vauxhall Vectra. All of them featured with all of the drivers in here. You also had 4 camera views here. So you had the normal behind car close, behind car far, so your 2 chase cam options, and you had a bonnet cam. But this also gave you a head cam view as well. And this again was one of the early console titles to do this, to try and model an interior and actually give you some kind of simulation of what it's like to be in the car. And adding into that, you also had different weather conditions. Now, some of these did go a bit OTT. You had your usual sunny, cloudy, rain, fog, but then it did also throw in snow and a full-blown thunderstorm as well could be had. But this was all, what you got to remember, this was all groundbreaking stuff for when this came out, because looking at here, I think this was around about 98 that TOCA came out. So this is a vintage title. This is going back a long way now. We're over 20 years away from when this was considered groundbreaking, but it was released to great reviews, both in the press and also from users as well. And for me, as I say, it formed one of the cornerstones of what became sim racing on consoles. It was established at this point on PC, but these were the titles that kind of laid the groundwork for what we see now. And keep in mind that TOCA, the series we're looking at now, gave birth to the Race Driver series, which then became the Grid series as well. So we're still getting titles that effectively are related to this, released all those years later. So what was it like going back and driving it? Well, actually surprisingly enjoyable, being perfectly honest. As a title, it sported widescreen and also analog controls, which were relatively new back then, certainly on console. And Yeah, while it is a bit point and squirt, as I mentioned earlier, you do have to work out where your braking points are going to be. You do have to stick to them. You have to turn in at the right point, apex, accelerate out. You have to do what you'd expect to do in a racing title that's trying to simulate stuff. And it did a pretty good job of doing that. Qualifying is included in there as well. Yeah, it was still very gamified in that regard, though. You had to score a certain number of championship points at each round, or your career just stopped at that point, which is not something you'd see now. But the handling side of it for its time was very, very, very different, and that's true of the three titles I've mentioned. So this one, TOCA, Gran Turismo, and also Colin McRae. And we'll see that trend running through all of them as we come back and look at those as well. But this was something different. You hit the grass unless you're going in a straight line, you're going to be spinning, and the AI was enjoyable enough as well. So no, I actually I would approach this one with quite a degree of trepidation. I wasn't sure what it would be like, and I was a bit worried that the rose tint would be huge for this one, but actually it was nowhere near as dramatic as I thought it would. Once I got used to how it looks, that's the most immediately obvious thing that dates it, along with the audio. But once you get used to that and start playing it again, it came flooding back. And yeah, it's a good, fun title to play still to this day. So there we go. That's a look back at what started the Codemasters Race Driver and Grid series, one of my holy trinity of console racing titles or sim racing titles. That's TOCA Touring Car Championship. If you played it before, if you've got your own memories of it, please do drop them down in the comments below. Same as if you just want to comment on what we've gone through here. And if you want to see more videos like this, more titles like this, please do like the video and subscribe away. Hit the bell icon to see content when it's released. Thanks very much for watching. Take care.